Heart beats fast, colors and promises. How to be brave? How can I love when I'm afraid to fall? But watching you stand alone, all of my doubt suddenly goes away somehow. One step closer. I have died every day waiting for you. Darling, don't be afraid. I've loved you for 1,000 years. I love you for 1,000 more. Time stands still, beauty in all she is. I will be brave, I will not let anything take away. Standing in front of me, every breath, every hour has come to this. One step closer. I have died every day waiting for you. Darling, don't be afraid. I've loved you for 1,000 years. I love you for 1,000 more. And all along I believed I would find you. Time has brought your heart to me. I have loved you for 1,000 years. I love you for 1,000 more. One step closer. One step closer. I have died every day waiting for you. Darling, don't be afraid. I've loved you for 1,000 years. I love you for 1,000 more. And all along I believed I would find you. Time has brought your heart to me. I've loved you for 1,000 years. I love you for 1,000 more.
Find a quiet place. Sit or lay down in a comfortable position. Gently close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and slowly breathe out. Again, breathe in and out. With each breath, let go of transition. Let your thoughts float by like clouds. There is nothing you need to do. Just be here now. Imagine a soft, golden light around you. This is God's light. It holds you like a safe hand. You don't have to do anything. God sees you. God knows you. God loves you. Let yourself relax into this presence. It carries you now and always. Bring your attention gently to your heart. With each breath, your heart becomes softer, more open. Feel the stillness there. In the stillness, trust begins to grow, quiet and strong. Maybe your mind doesn't know where the road leads, but your heart feels you are not alone. You are being guided with love and care. You don't have to understand everything now. Sometimes the path has turns or questions, but God's way is always good. He sees more than you do. He knows what's next. Let go of what you can't control. Breathe, rest, trust. God is here, quiet, kind, faithful. Now, imagine you place your hand in God's hand. You don't need to see the whole way ahead. Just the next step, and you do not take it alone. With each breath, feel trust growing in you. God walks with me. I can let Him lead. Feel your body again. Feel your breath. Feel your heart. You are calm. You are carried. This trust stays with you. It lives in you. As you return to your day, something in you knows you are guided. Take one last deep breath in and slowly out. When you are ready, gently open your eyes. Walk in peace. God's path is your path, and it is good.
Hello and welcome. We're Stan and Yana. Welcome to the Church of Union Sunday service. We will be providing the card reading for you today, and we have chosen a card deck and pre-shuffled some cards already.
Yeah, the card deck that we're going to use is this one, the Empath's Empowerment deck by Judith Orloff. Yeah, and the first card that we have is this one, embrace your imperfections. Yeah, here it says, release the idea that you must be without flaws. Humans are imperfect, messy, and also miraculous. Simply aim to be the best person possible.
So what this card perfectly shows is you see here that bowl where there are cracks in, right? And like the card says, people think imperfection, but basically like imperfections is just like a self-made up misalignment, because whenever you feel imperfect, the only thing you need to do there to seal up these cracks and make you feel whole again is basically love yourself and accept yourself. And to like just accept who you are in that perfect moment, in that present moment. And like it's just calling for your presence and for you to accept yourself. And then you can evolve in these beautiful butterflies again to feel whole and to take off to greater heights.
Yeah, and also realizing that you are your unique, beautiful butterfly, right? Has its unique colors, right? Your unique talents, your unique gifts, your unique strengths, right? And it's all on purpose. Like the divine love itself doesn't make mistakes, right? Everything that you are and how you are, it's all for a reason, right? And it's of God, it's of the divine. So it's safe to come into alignment with love's consciousness here about yourself, and see yourself clearly for who you are. Yeah, and the other card that we have is release shame. Here it says, if you have been shamed for being sensitive or anything else, tell yourself, I'm ready to release this shame. I'm lovable, caring person. Yeah. So you see here, right, a flower. And what we get from this card is like, you are that beautiful creation of the divine. You are love itself. You are like that beautiful flower, that beautiful being, right? But in order for you to blossom for who you truly are and with your unique scent, right? With your unique beauty, with your unique being that you are given to you by the divine, right? You need to love yourself, to come into harmony with who you are, accept yourself, and also create that perfect environment for yourself. So the worst thing that you can do is feel ashamed about yourself, right? Or reject yourself, or feel there's something off with you. Because, just like any flower in nature, right? You can, if you're a unique flower, right, you need also perfect conditions for you to thrive as the beautiful flower that you are, for that beautiful person that you are. So instead of, let's say, because I know it from my own experience, right, internalizing what maybe your environment told you or how you got made feel in certain systems or places. Instead, you should not take all those things personal and keep all that stuff out, whatever was not love, right? But the truth is, you're perfect as you are. And it's very important that you point yourself to an environment that fits you, that supports you, that makes you flourish, right? That helps you thrive. Because there's a huge difference in surviving or thriving, right? And what we are called to do with the teachings of union to point ourselves to love, and to our greatest happiness possible, and to also support. And therefore, you need the right environment, right? And come in love and harmony with yourself, accept yourself, and then also ask yourself, okay, if I know this about myself, let's say I'm this type of flower, this is something that my coach used to tell me. Let's say if you're a beautiful flower, right, you need to ask yourself what that flower needs, which type of care, right? What you need to fully thrive as a person, and the divine wants that.
In the background, right? Like a bit of a drop, like a water. You can see it as a water drop. Like also, you need to water that flower, right? Like to
You water yourself.
to release the shame and to water your true self.
to realize your beauty, right? And to walk confidently in who you are, that you realize your divine, unique essence, right? That brings alone, if you realize your divinity, right, brings so much value to the world and peace once you realize really the truth of who you are. And so the last card that we have is forgive yourself. And here it says, don't become a hostage to the past by berating yourself for your choices. Make amends, forgive your own shortcomings, and keep moving toward a beautiful future.
And this card, you see a woman like really, like very much turned down and into her emotions, right? But that means also that you sometimes really need to dig deep to find those parts where you're not yet forgiven yourself.
Accepting yourself.
And accept yourself, because you can like maybe easily forgive other people or let them off the hook, but as long as you don't really forgive yourself and let yourself off the hook, then you might walk around with certain heavy things that basically you would not need to carry anymore. And what this card is showing you is to really like dare to go to those places where you still feel like you're not forgiven yourself yet.
Yeah, and it's really that, when you discover, for example, anger, that you just need to, feel your true feelings, and love yourself there, and also forgive yourself, and really point yourself to the right life, right? To the right truth of who you are, and the right life of who you are and what supports you. And also, like it said, move yourself towards a beautiful future, right? You always have power, so you always can turn your life around to wherever you feel like the true you can blossom. And it's safe to really release the past and know the truth about yourself. Yeah, so.
Yeah, so this, you feel complete? Good. So thank you for watching. We hope you enjoy the next of the Sunday service, and see you next time.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome to today's Sunday service. I'm Kelly, and I'm so honored to introduce to you Deb and Paco, who will be sharing a sermon on emotional debt, repairing the foundation of your twin flame union. And, Paco and Deb really represent this, being in harmonious union and a married couple. It's just wonderful to see them thrive and grow, and such an inspiration. And so yeah, I think this is such an important topic, because I feel like so often, if we're not making our goals, if we're not creating our dream life, there can be some shame, there can be some sadness, and maybe even some blame that happens. So maybe I'm not working hard enough, maybe I'm not, trying hard enough. But the truth is that it's really about aligning yourself to love and filling your emotional well so that you're giving from a full cup. And this is not something that I learned as a child. I learned to just keep pushing through, avoid my feelings, and just keep going, right? Have a positive mindset. And while perseverance is a really wonderful value, without having perseverance in your emotional wellness, it leaves, this constant, running on empty vibration, this feeling of just like you have to continually give and give and give and give until you hit retirement, and then eventually you can like relax, but you might even have some sickness, some things to work through, because you didn't fill that emotional well. Something I'm also been learning is that whenever we have emotional debt, that also affects our body, our health, our well-being. Sometimes it can even result in pain or symptoms that seem to never go away. And I feel like, the world is really shifting and evolving, looking at things where, while it's essential to look at the medical component of some of the Ascension systems, like symptoms, it's important to be grounded in that, medical diagnosis kinds of things, but also knowing that there is an emotional component, sometimes even traumas that can trigger disease, right? We think of disease as like not at ease, right? And, Jeff and Shaleia share that life should have a beautiful flow. It should have an ease to it. And I'm finding that the more presence that I have with myself, even through the bad feelings, through the anxiety, learning to feel deeply those anxious feelings, those places where I might not feel enough, and kind of working through that really builds a foundation for my twin flame union, because it builds that emotional well that I didn't know or learn in my childhood to give myself the love that I needed. I feel like some families, perhaps there can even be some gaslighting happening, because it can make parents feel very uncomfortable with their child's emotions and feelings. I teach a lot of children for a living, and I had this one family who came to the school, and what I love about children is they're so keen and so attuned to what's around them. They're very clear emotionally, and so they know when something feels off, right? So I had this family come in, and this little girl came to her dance class a little bit late, and she felt it. She felt like, okay, everybody settled in class, and, and she's very shy. Her parents were kind of pushing her into class and, telling her, okay, go join your class. And she kind of pulled back. She felt really nervous, and she didn't want to go in class. And the mom actually said to her, what's wrong with you? Why won't you, what's wrong with you? Why don't you go in? And my heart really hurt for this child, because there's nothing wrong with her. Here the parents are like, well, we invested in this thing, like, go enjoy your class. We want you to enjoy it. But they were, they were really wanting the best for their child to go and enjoy the class. But what really had to be addressed with this child is that she was feeling nervous. She was feeling uncomfortable with being late. Children have a very keen sense of justice and a keen sense of right and wrong in terms of how they feel. And sometimes these feelings can be very uncomfortable for parents. And I do believe that everybody's doing their best as a parent, but sometimes there just needs to be a little bit more love and patience. And one thing I just love about the teachings of union is that I've been able to really heal those places in my own parenting where I stayed true to my feelings. Now, my children, I feel like, are almost designed to press our button. So I don't know for those of you who don't have children, like, I could be in a restaurant and I could be hearing a crying child, and sure, it's maybe a little uncomfortable for me, but there's nothing, at least in my experience, there's nothing more uncomfortable than your own child having a bad experience or to be upset. It's very, very uncomfortable. And so I think it's only natural for our parents to kind of put a Band-Aid on things and help you move through things as quickly as possible. What I've noticed is that if you give children the permission to feel their feelings and you encourage them, they will work through their feelings much faster than if you tell them, oh, you're fine, just go in, just enjoy class. If you give the child permission to feel, they'll really work through it much, much faster. And It's so beautiful. Now, I had a child who was, I was reading a book on explosive children. My daughter would have these huge temper tantrums, even at like 9 years old. And I'm talking 2-hour temper tantrums over like bringing a coat into the car, not even wearing it, but bringing a coat. And I live in a really snowy place. So it's not really safe to not have a coat in case we get stranded. And so I just remember being at my wit's end, like, I can't, I don't know what to do. I had no idea what to do. And shortly thereafter, I started learning from Twin Flames Universe. I started healing my upsets from within. And my own little girl, the little temper tantrums that I was having still from childhood, they started to heal. I started to mend. And between the last 5 and 6 years, as I've continued to really heal, my daughter magically stopped having outbursts and explosive behavior. And it was a beautiful experience to realize that, oh, my daughter is really triggering these deeper upsets within me. But without this work, I wouldn't have known that. And it just magically, it's not really magic, because if you nurture your emotional well, you're going to find more peace. You're going to find more happiness. You're going to find more calm, and your children are not going to have to trigger you in the same way. So, so I found that so fascinating. So for the parents out there, to be out there, you really have an opportunity to fill your well, to heal the places of emotional abandonment. And again, parents are all doing their best. Maybe their parents, even if you're in a traumatic childhood, maybe your parents had a more traumatic childhood, and they're just kind of doing the best that they can, right, with the experience that they had. So I would just encourage you to continue to learn and grow and heal, and just notice how the world changes and the peace that you experience. It's a beautiful thing. So with that, I want to encourage you can head over to unionism.org for more sermons. You can also head over to Twin Flames Universe, and subscribe, share this message with others. And I encourage you to head over to unionism.org to tithe and share a gift so that we can continue to share this message for years to come. Thank you so much, and enjoy the sermon.
Hello and welcome to another Church of Union Sunday service. We are Paco and Deborah, your ministers for today's sermon. And before we get into the topic, let us begin with our opening alms and our opening prayers. You can sing this aloud or quietly in your heart. And now for our opening prayer.
I am the only child of God, forever part of Him. I am created by Him in perfection, and there I always remain. My mind is my sanctuary where I keep His holy creation sacred. I will only allow in His voice. I will only accept His word. Today I will hear the word of God. I surrender myself to His teaching through His divine channel. I will honor what He has spoken and accept it as His will. I will be obedient to His word, for this is my salvation. In Christ's name, Amen.
So welcome again. Today we wanted to talk about emotional depth and repairing the foundation of your twin flame union. This is something that we've been healing quite often in the last couple of months. And it has to do with something that at least I've been picking up since going deeper in our healing within our union. And it has to do with the impact that I've been experiencing when I was growing up and realizing that my parents were not emotionally present with me. And this is also from a book that I've been reading lately. It was already suggested in the community a while back, and I finally got my hands on it. And I started, more than reading it, devouring this book. And there's a quote that I would like us to open and get us started with the whole content of the sermon. And it goes as this. Think of childhood as the foundation of a house. Think of adulthood as the house. It is certainly possible to build a house with a flawed foundation, and in fact, it may look exactly the same as a well-built house. But if the foundation is cracked, crooked, or weak, it will not be an important source of strength and security. It's not a noticeable flaw, but it could place the structure of the house itself at risk. One strong wind and it comes tumbling down. And when I was reading this quote in the book, there are many, many pearls, but of course I cannot read the whole book. So I highly encourage to read it. It's called Running on Empty and Overcoming the Emotional Neglect in Childhood. Yeah, and this is something that I've been coming to more and more awareness, and has been how much has impacted me and my journey, this lack of emotional presence from my parents growing up. I grew up in a household where emotions were something very uncomfortable. Nobody really knew or maybe even wanted to deal with it. I had a very absent mother in the sense of she was physically there and she was providing the basic, taking us to school, taking us to doctors, helping us get clothes, preparing the meals. But that emotional component was not there. And I like this book because the author starts with this approach that a lot of us remember our childhoods maybe in a very nice way, and we feel like there's something wrong with us, but we don't know exactly why. And this is not because of what was there, but because of what was not there. And it took me quite a while. I'm in my 40s, and only now I'm starting to realize that a lot of the ways that I've been looking at my life have been coming from this standpoint, this place where I didn't feel supported growing up, where we were asked to keep it quiet or not be too loud, or, oh, don't make a fuss, or, oh, you're just jealous of your sibling. And rather than having an acknowledgement of what was actually going on emotionally within me and having someone that I could really talk to. And what has made it for me is that I tend to just overlook feelings. I kind of very easily numb out to them. It takes me a lot of effort to feel like I can open up and be honest. And that, of course, has an impact in our union, because when you are not sharing with your twin flame how you're honestly feeling about something, or that you even can be safe in sharing how you're feeling, then addressing the issues that are coming up, it's very difficult. And feelings are at the foundation of your union. This is a feeling journey, like the teachings of union share with us. This is why we have something like the mirror exercise that is to help us connect with these feelings. And it's okay if at first it's a little challenging, or you find it kind of complicated. It's okay, you're learning something new. I've been practicing the mirror exercise for 7 years, and I still have pockets of resistance or places where I really don't feel comfortable opening up, not even to my husband, and telling him, hey, I'm feeling this, or I feel like that about this and that. So we wanted to address this because we are also noticing the impact that is having in, for example, our finances. And this is something that we've been learning through the teachings, that your wealth it's also a reflection of how much joy you're experiencing. And we recently were also moving through, of course, the layers of this big hairy onion, like it's called in a Twin Flame Ascension school class. That has to do also with, if you're having debt, well, you may want to look at as whether you have an emotional debt, which has been the case for us. Mm-hmm. We've kind of like been digging and reflecting on our upbringings, and we realized that in one way or another, we had all these things attached to it. In my case, was not allowing myself space to express. Like it's wrong to say anything. I'm not a very how do you call it, very quiet child. I was supposedly, according to my parents, but that was because at some point I think I just interiorized that sharing my feelings was not okay. And so I just kept quiet and tried to not disrupt the dynamic or the living situation altogether. Of course, I had my outbursts because feelings are a part of us. And this is something that the book also mentions, is thinking about feelings that as something that it's in kind of like it runs the core programming in your life. We are sentient beings. We have feelings. We feel even before we learn how to think or be logical. So when you suppress this, when you internalize that message that your parents maybe were sharing without being aware that they were doing that. Okay? This is not to demonize any parents or anything like that. You might be even doing it yourself as a parent. I know that I was doing it with my son before I knew the teachings, because of course you just pass along what you learn. And kind of like emotional neglect is self-perpetuating, like it states in the book. And I really agree, because we just give what we have. And so if you haven't really had any role models or people who were there other than a therapist, maybe, to explain to you how important it was to just take a moment and sit with your feelings, you're probably not going to know that you need to address them. And what is interesting when I was reading is, because I was identifying so much with many of the things that the author is describing in the book, is how much the repressed or suppressed emotions, that lack of comfort, translates into being more irritable than normal, having outbursts for the tiniest thing. Like I know at the beginning of our union together, I was having this quite often. It's gotten better, thank God. But nonetheless, it's still something that you may be struggling with. I know that I am. And we felt like it was very important to open up the space and invite everyone to really get clear. Was this something that you were experiencing growing up? And if so, there's absolutely no shame in it. Everyone was doing their best with what they had. At least that's what I would like to believe. But when you become aware, you can actually do something about it. You can actually start addressing it. And I feel like that's the important thing, because I don't believe that God wants us to go through life just feeling miserable or like there's something missing, or shaming ourselves, because this is part of our human experience. We have feelings. They are there for a reason. Babies have feelings before they even think. They feel hunger, they feel thirst. And repressing this would be like you denying that you have a need. You're hungry. And I'm going to pretend like I'm not hungry. Well, how long can you go not eating before you start to kind of like lose it because of how much you need or want to eat or have thirst and you want to drink water? And the idea of having this approach to your feelings, building that relationship with yourself, creating a space where you can start even connecting to your feelings again, especially if you have been numbing them out for quite some time, then you can start rebuilding that foundation. Because again, this is going to be at the core of your union. It's going to be a feeling journey. Your twin flame is going to trigger you in these places where you haven't felt like you experienced love. And it's going to be a constant invitation for you to connect to that part. And it's okay. Again, I have my challenging moments. Paco here can testify to that. And he's had his own as well. Like we are both human beings, that we have our own baggage, so to speak. But when you can do this for yourself, it's gonna be very easy to have that space with your twin flame and having them support you also in that way, because otherwise, like I cannot say how many times I found myself projecting an old experience that I had growing up with my parents onto our relationship, and kind of like seeing Paco as, I don't know, let's say my father mostly, because he's the divine masculine. So of course he will trigger all the unresolved issues with the divine masculine of, oh, he's judging me or he's forcing me to do XYZ, blah, 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 like my father was doing. Lately, the most that I've been peeling away has been around being at home and feeling like he's gonna come home and he's gonna nag me, like when my father was coming from work and I was maybe just watching TV after doing my homework, and he will just barge into the living room and treat me like I was a lazy person that was not doing anything. And of course, at some point, if you don't have the proper boundaries either, you kind of like take that personally and you start believing what other people are saying. And this does something to you. It's not like, oh, it doesn't go anywhere. So it's important, like, to really give yourself that space. You don't need to analyze it. That's okay. If you don't know how to call a feeling, there are many tools. A lot of people in the community have found or created for themselves charts with like different colors or faces with names of like what is the feeling, so that you can get clear, because a lot of the times certain feelings will overlap. And I realized this while doing my inner healing. A lot of the times Paco tells me like, oh, you feel like a little angry girl. And then when I kind of like finally find it in myself to sit with it, because let's face it, sometimes your feelings can feel uncomfortable, or like, again, something that you may have learned from your parents, your feelings are a burden. So you don't want to spend any time feeling your feelings. No, like that's another one. I'm going to just push through and do work or go party with my friends or whatever, anything that doesn't allow me or means that I have to sit with this uncomfortable thing that nobody taught me how to deal with, by the way. Then let's start reverting that. Let's start taking the time, whatever it, like you can start with 5 minutes a day if necessary. Because when he picks up this and he tells me, oh, you feel like an angry little girl or like a very frustrated woman, and we open the space for that, I only then can recognize, oh, wow, I'm having a lot of hurt in this place. And I'm still like healing through almost 30 years of having people around me who were not precisely very encouraging into feeling feelings. So that way you can start to seal that. I remember I shared recently in the Twin Flame Universe Open Forum, I shared the same quote that I opened this sermon with. And I like, because God was giving me this picture of a vase, no? Thinking about our union as a vase. And all these wounds, if you will, that have to do with this emotional neglect, then are like cracks. And so you want to invest a lot of love into this space, but without sealing those cracks, that love leaks away. And here's the same. Whatever past experience you had has nothing to do with the choice that you have made to embrace this journey and overcome all of these and move forward in your ascension journey alongside your twin flame, of course. They are just opportunities for you to heal. And this is also something that I remember touching upon in a previous sermon too, about thinking like how your whole experience in life, like you growing up as a human being, as a child, a little bit like a plant. I love these examples. I love how graphic God is sometimes, so that I can like really grasp the concept. So it's like you being the plant. You will need fertile soil, you will need water, and you will need sun, light. So if one of these components is missing, chances are you're not really going to be able to grow very healthy. And this is the case. I've seen it in my practice and I've seen it in our union. A lot of people when they start doing the inner work, they start embracing the teachings, they start to realize like, this upset I was having with my twin flame doesn't even have anything to do with him. It comes from this, I don't know, when I was 5 years old and this and that happened and I didn't receive what I needed or what I wanted. And that part, maybe, like it was my experience growing up, especially after the birth of my sister. And so my mom was already dealing with a lot of overwhelmed feelings. She had like 2 children, a toddler and a baby. Of course, these are ages where you still need a lot of presence in your parents, like from your parents. And my mom was like a stay-home mom. She was all alone with this, dealing with her depressive mom. Her father was not there. He had passed away. So there was a lot of lack of emotional foundation in her own life itself. And so she did what she could. And of course, for many parents, and this is not just like the generation of my parents, they come from prior and of course my own generation as well, we tend to be perhaps burdened with a lot of responsibilities. And then we have a crying child and another one like nagging or throwing a temper tantrum. And if we don't know how to go about this and we feel extremely uncomfortable, our first reaction is going to try to want to avoid it as much as possible. And so chances are, like my mom, you will not take time, or it happened to me with my son at the beginning too, when I was like rushing through university and work and the baby and my mom who was sick and the cat and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, I don't have time for this. Little did I know that this was just repeating a pattern or kind of like passing along what I learned. Thank God that I was able to catch that on time. And again, thanks to the teachings, everything has been put into place. But if this is you feel overwhelmed by your experience, by your routine, by your everyday life, and yeah, chances are that you're going to try to brush that off. And if you are doing this with a child that doesn't really know what's what, no, you look up to your parents to learn about life, then you're going to probably interiorize this like, oh, my feeling is not like important, or I'm bothering, no, I'm a burden to this other person. And people tend to react differently to this, but at some point or another, everyone internalizes it and even start to feel like ashamed of having these feelings, no, because you don't see that the person that should be guiding you or helping you is actually opening up the space to be there with you and help you through it. And this is at least what I've experienced, like, and what I'm looking to heal and realize that Paco is there. He's holding my hand. He's not like my parents who are rushing from, I don't know, workplace to whatever, or my mom that it's not there. I kind of have to become our own parents in that sense. And of course, we receive this from God through us. But being able to allow ourselves to really heal in this place and to realize that God wants us to heal. Again, He doesn't want us to go through life feeling like we are broken or like there's something wrong with us simply because the people before us didn't know how to create a safer space or a more have more presence with that. And we mentioned prior that also this has an impact in your finances. This is like for us one of our core blocks to speak. This is the thing that we keep chipping away at, because we see all of these patterns and all of these unhealed places mostly reflected to us from our financial situation, our finances. And like I was saying at the beginning, we had a session a couple of weeks ago where our coaches were pointing out, like, we don't have an issue with working. What we have an issue is filling up our own cup when it comes to paying attention to our feelings. And I know in my case now, I thanks to this book and of course the inner work and the coaching and the classes and the whole system, like support system that I have behind me to even continue being in union and keep my union with me and all the way into harmonious union as we are, is that emotional neglect is a debt. There's a part of you needing that support, and it has to come from somewhere. Like it says in TIFAS, in Twin Flame Ascension School, all debts must be paid the checks are always in balance. God doesn't lose anything. It's always everything, like he keeps a very tight ship and all scores are settled. And if this is you, maybe you resonate with the content of this sermon, maybe you realize that you were experiencing this in your life. Well, maybe it helps you realize also why your financial situation is maybe wiggly, or it's not really very stabilized. Well, you may have to fill up your own well, but in a different way that you may have think of. Like, I know that for me it was like, oh man, I need to earn money, but I didn't realize that there was a whole other level to it, and how much it had to do with this emotional foundation or this emotional neglect that I was experiencing growing up. So you should be feeling really good in your union. You should be feeling really good in your life. The ascension journey is not to torture you. It's not meant there to extend or prolong or perpetuate any suffering. It's there to help you heal in these places. Especially if you still have a little girl, a little boy inside of you who are begging, screaming, or throwing a fit because they need attention and they haven't gotten it yet. So imagine a child that is throwing a 20-year temper tantrum. I don't think it's gonna get any quieter. It's probably gonna get really, really loud. And this has an impact on everything. It's just not your wealth, it's also on your health. I've seen this. I saw it with my mom growing up. I see it in myself. Many of the health issues are just a lack of love in a certain place. So this is what, like, the beauty of the ascension journey as God presents it through the twin flame journey. You have the chance to go to all these places, taking as much time and space as you need to. Yeah, this is not a race. Nobody's keeping score, only God, but he has all the patience in the world. And the idea is that you can go and close these wounds, seal them up, seal those cracks in the vase, so that when you pour all this love into your union, all this love into your life, into your experiences, that love stays with you instead of leaking away and just keep you in the same kind of like circle of chasing down your own tail without getting really anywhere. And this is exactly the same that you're going to see reflected back by your twin flame too. That this person is going to choose to stand with you, help you heal. Doesn't matter if they know the teachings, doesn't matter if they do the mirror exercise. It only matters that you are choosing to embrace your own healing journey, and your twin flame is going to just be there meeting you and supporting you the best they can. And the same goes the other way. Imagine you not knowing how to hold space for yourself. How can you hold space for your twin flame when they are going through something deep? Impossible. So take it as a chance to learn. Take it as a chance to heal. Take it as a chance to release all this self-judgment that maybe you have been carrying because you grew up to believe that having intense feelings was a bad thing. I still bump into that one everyone here and there, where I'm like, oh no, I'm upset because I have upsets, which doesn't make it easier. But once you move through them, you can see like the light on the other side of the tunnel, like we would say, and you can start creating a very beautiful life, a life that will reflect all your loving choices, even if you are still a work in progress. That's okay. You don't need to be perfect to be with your twin flame. You don't need to be perfect to be with God. God already sees you as perfect. He sees you as flawless. There's nothing there to fix. But if you feel like there's a missing piece, a missing thingy in the puzzle, this is your chance to go find out what that is. And again, bring a lot of love, bring a lot of nurturing, because like the book was saying in many places along the chapters, is that people who have been neglected emotionally have a hard time receiving nurturance. And so This is very important. You will not be able to shift your perspective of life being meant to suffer or miserable or hard if you cannot allow yourself to receive the healing the journey is extending to you, the nurture your twin flame has to share with you, or the healing that is there for you, where you can start to realize that even if it was through contrast, like I was experiencing during my childhood, it was meant to guide you still towards God. It was meant for you to feel so uncomfortable that you wanted to look for a solution. I was extremely uncomfortable. I looked for a solution, and here I am. So this is, I feel, the core of the message for this sermon today. I hope that it has tempered your soul, that it has given you something to think about, to explore, and of course, take your time. This is a process. Again, it's not a race. It's okay. Everyone in the world, I think pretty much 90% of people have gone through some sort of emotional neglect. And this is something that goes very silently in your life, okay? This is not something that is gonna be noticeable at first glance. This is why the author was saying that it's not what was there when you were growing up, it was what was not there. And invite a lot of compassion, not only for yourself, but also for the people who were raising you. Maybe that's the best that they can do. We never know. Everyone has their own unique journey and experiences, and we cannot tell where everyone is at. But yeah, just invite and allow that nurturing, healing energy to come back to you, that you can start experiencing a nicer life, and that you can receive your twin flame and really share a very wonderful life together, a very healing life together. So with this being said, I feel rather complete. Let us close today's sermon with our closing prayer and our closing ohms. Again, you can sing this aloud or silently in your heart.
Father, I accept your word into my heart. I will honor your will in my life and will follow you without hesitation anywhere you ask. I know you guide me into your heart where I belong. I accept that you are everywhere and your teaching is in all things. God, I know you provide me clarity in these teachings of union, that I may be forever in union with you. I accept that you are in me as you are in my brother. I will not deny my brother your word and will share your teaching with him in any way you ask and only as you ask. For when I share my salvation with him, I fully claim my salvation and return to you with him. In Christ's name, Amen. Speaking this prayer in your heart means you have accepted that you are on the path of awakening to your true divine nature. This is what it means to be a unionist. Follow the teachings of union with God wherever you find them and purify your consciousness into perfect union with your Creator. Now for our closing ohms.
Namaste.
Thank you so much, Deb and Paco, for that incredible message. I just loved what you shared about how Jeff and Shaleia share in Twin Flame Ascension School, how they talk about how every debt must be paid. And I always thought of debt, right, as like this financial debt. When I got on this journey, I started to realize, oh, I have a lot of spiritual debt. I have a lot of things that I need to heal and work through. And initially, I really felt like very high vibration. But what I actually was doing was kind of spiritually bypassing how I actually felt. And so I had to get very, very clear on how I felt. And I had to face a lot of feelings that I didn't really want to face, because ultimately there was a belief underneath those feelings that wasn't aligned with love and with truth. And I love that they share this. I remember thinking that I had like a lot of spiritual laundry to do, so to speak. Like imagine not doing laundry for a month or 2 months or years, right? So I think sometimes we think about, gosh, I really require a lot of love. Is that too much? But ultimately, we're paying down the emotional debts that we didn't receive in our childhood. And we came in and we're innocent. We didn't know how to navigate, how to bring love to our heart, how to heal. But now we do. So we have this incredible opportunity to really set a new standard of love and divine love within our own lives. And it absolutely changes the dynamic in our family lineage. I definitely feel like my daughter and her lineage is changed due to this work, because I'm not recreating the same hurtful patterns within myself. I'm showing my daughter like how to face the hard feelings and, creating a beautiful, peaceful life with her, because I'm willing to be present. I'm willing to do the inner work that it takes to pay down those emotional debts. And just remember that we're all learning. We're all innocent, right? Whatever you experienced in childhood, your parents were learning. But the beautiful thing now that we have the opportunity to reparent ourselves, to give ourselves the love, the emotional support, and the nurturing that was missing. So, don't be surprised if it actually takes a lot of love to really fill those places of emptiness, of sadness. And what I've discovered is some unworthiness that I had to really go in. If that's coming to the surface, that's actually a good sign that you're headed in the right direction to feel your feelings and work through whatever comes up. That's a really good sign. Oftentimes those things are below the surface, below our conscious mind. And so we have a hard time actually fixing and healing them because we're not aware of them. So awareness is just that first step to healing and to bringing love to ourselves, which changes the dynamic in our families. So I hope that helps. If you enjoyed this message, please head over to Twin Flames Universe. You can like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. You can head over to unionism.org, share a tithing, a gift of love, so that we can continue to share this message with the world, so we can change the world one person at a time. And that's really all it takes, one person doing the work, healing the family lineage, learning how to heal these wounds, and then we change the dynamics in our family completely. Don't be surprised if your children show changes in dynamics as you heal. It's a beautiful thing to experience. And you can also head over to Unionism Spiritual Discussion Group on Facebook. There's an after-church tea time. We'd love to invite you. That's at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can ask questions in real time. So we hope to see you there. And thanks for watching.